Hello Internet, welcome to the show. Today we will be talking about the traditional approach to solution delivery. This is your host Shahid Sharif, sharing my experiences with you, hoping it benefits you as you navigate life. Have you ever stepped back and thought about how you have been engaged in delivering a solution at your organization? And the reason I ask you is this. Every organization has different approaches when they deliver solutions. And when I'm talking about solution delivery, I'm talking purely from an IT perspective, because I have been all my life been working for an IT organization of a company, and this is my viewpoint, looking at it from that point of view. Because the only one organization that I believe followed this process was only one, and they did great. However, since then I have moved to different organizations, and nowhere have I seen the solution delivery being followed as rigorously as the traditional approaches. Before we proceed, people, can you please make sure you subscribe, like, share, and comment on whichever social media platform you happen to be using. You know the reasons how subscribing, liking, and comment helps me. It tells the platform that my content is good, is being viewed, people are interacting with it, and it kind of makes it to the top of the suggestions for other viewers. I really appreciate it if you could do that for me. Thank you very much. Now let's get on with the show. So when we talk about solution delivery is all about, as the name suggests, delivering a solution for the organization. And whenever you do something, there are two ways of doing it. There is the structured approach and there is the unstructured approach. People who follow structured approach always win. Unstructured approaches don't really have a good level of success. They might succeed, they may not succeed, and that's why following a structured approach is key. And you know, as you guys might have heard, when whatever you do, consistency is the key. If you are consistent in whatever you do, you will reap the benefits of it. You will be better at it. The product that you produce will be quality, and so on. And that's why whenever I look at a solution delivery or solution being developed and delivered, I always compartmentalize it from the, and I'm calling myself traditional because I've seen this happen over the course of my career. I've been in IT for about 35 years now. So the first gate is the gate 0 that they call, right? So this is where let me step back. So before we get into the gates, right? So gates are pretty much checkpoints where in order to pass a checkpoint, you have to perform certain activities. There's a purpose to achieving that gate and the decision that gets taken at that particular gate. So these are pretty much checkpoints where you are proving to the leaders or the keepers of the gate that you have done all this due diligence. Can you please let me go to the next gate? So when it comes to the gates, is these, somebody might call it the phases or the stages or what have you, right? However, this is the gist of it. So how many gates are there in total? In my thinking, there are 7 gates, gate 0 all the way through to gate 6. So, and each gate has its own requirements to deliver. So let's say we talk about gate 0. So gate 0 is something that you have to think about as an idea, that we have an idea, we want to do this, right? So now when we're talking about an idea, is that, let's say you are using certificates for authentication, for user authentication, and you have been purchasing certificates from some outside organization, and each certificate costs you like $5 or something like that. One of the thoughts could be that, hey, how about we do our create our own internal certificate authority. Let's say if you're a Microsoft shop, you would just bring in the Microsoft solution, which is, you already paying for it, you don't have to pay any extra, and there is a potential for savings over there, as opposed to paying $5 a cert to a third-party organization. You would be paying $0, where the only cost for you would be the operationalization of that certificate platform. So now that you have an idea, I would package this together as an idea and present it to my leaders. Hey, this the idea I have. We have 20,000 users. 5 times 20,000 is so many $1,000, versus spend so much money on the infrastructure and all that, and after that you're reaping the benefits. So this is the gate zero, I would call. And at gate zero, now that you have presented the idea, management has thought about it, and they've said, you know what, this is a good money saving opportunity. Year over year we'll be saving money, and the infrastructure is, we already operate infrastructure, we are an IT organization, let's go for it, right? Now that you have come up with the idea, you have approval for the idea, now the question is going to be, what are you going to be delivering? So this is where the gate 1 comes in. So you've passed gate 0. Now you want to go towards gate 1 to say, okay, I am deploying certificates for users, so replacing the external certificates from third party like RSA or Entrust or somebody that would be costing about, I don't know the exact number, but just for example, right, $5 a piece, right? And I would only involve this, because when you start looking into certificates, there are certificates that could be used for many things. So this is where you have to identify the scope. What are you focusing on? Because if you wanted to look at certificates in an organization, certificates could be used for mutual authentication, for applications, machine-to-machine certificates. There could be certificates for websites, the SSL certificates. So which certificate do you want to deal with? Because if you bring everything into scope, then it's going to become a little bit difficult, right? So now when you look at the scope definition, you want to say, I only want to, in the first phase of this is what I can deliver by this time. And you would usually make it like a year worth of effort to make it happen, or less maybe. However, you don't want to boil the ocean, right? So you say, okay, there are other things we can take care of as well, but they could happen at a later stage. But let's focus on this one first. Let's replace the user certificates from, instead of buying them from the third party, let's buy them ourselves. Now that you have identified scope, now the users, yes, is it going to be all contractors and full-time employees? And what do we need to do? We need to have an internal certificate. We need to have a subordinate signing certificate authority. We need to have a central CA, certificate server, and all the infrastructure that goes with it, right? So now you have specified you're going to need so many servers. This is going to be the this is what you're gonna deliver, right? And for so many users, so your scope is tight. Now you said in order to deliver this, you'll have to build an environment, you'll have to do some testing, you'll have to do this, that, and all that, and overall from start to finish it's going to take about 10 months or so. Now that you have specified the scope, this is where now you go to the gate 1 team and say, this is what I have, can I start working towards a business case? Does this make sense to you? So at that point, whoever the body is which is managing gate 1 is going to say, yeah, go ahead, you can do this. And obviously all this doesn't come free. You need to ask for some money, so there has to be some money coming your way, so that there's people working on it, there's documentation happening, there's meetings happening, so it's going to cost you money. Now you want to develop a business case. A business case is going to be where you are going to put in the detailed cost benefit analysis. Like at a high level, initially we said it was going to be, we're going to save $5 per person and all that. But when you create a business case, I usually, whenever I'm creating business case, I project it over 5 years to say, first year is going to be this, second year is going to be this, third year is going to be this, and then fourth and fifth year is going to be this. Usually fourth and the fifth year are pretty similar. The majority of the difference you will see would be from year 1, year 2, and year 3, and after that it becomes BAU kind of an activity, right? So I usually do 5 years, and it gives the business a very good idea over that period of time how much money will they be saving if they had, and the way you would present a business case would be, if you were to do this in a traditional manner, as in, sorry, not traditional, wrong word, if you were to be using the old approach where you're buying certificates from Entrust or RSA, the cost would be this every year. Now that we have an internal certificate authority, yes, the initial cost for the first year might be a bit higher because you are building the environment, you have resources that are being allocated, and you're doing some testing and all that, so it might be a little bit higher. However, as year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5 rolls in, all that cost kind of gets watered down, and now you're just paying for maintaining the environment and the operations of it. So now that your gate 2 or the business case has been approved, you will get all the necessary funding for it, all the resources. You would get the resources interlocked. What does that mean? That before you move into the design development stage from gate 2, from business case development, you have to make sure you have commitment from the resource managers that the resources are in fact available and they will be working on your project for this period of time. And the reason it's important is that you don't want your project to be at risk, so you just want to make sure that you have the necessary resources. And this also gives the chance to the resource manager to say, no, I don't have a resource, I will have to hire a contractor, or I have to hire a FTE to augment that, right? And the sooner you do that, the less risk it becomes for your project, is because you will have everybody ready to work on your initiative when time comes. So you do that business case development. Now you're moving into the design and development side of things. This is where you get into the nitty-gritty of it, right? So you have not approached gate 3, so you have passed gate 2, and you have gate 2 behind you, gate 3 in front of you, and you are in the middle of these two gates. This is where you are going to be now that you have the full complement of the team is working. Now that you have to say, okay guys, what are our availability requirements, what are we protecting, what are resiliency requirements, what about disaster recovery of the solution, what do we need to integrate it with, how do we test it, what will be the first platform that gets integrated, and what are the next platforms that we need to integrate with this certificate authority. So this is where you would do all that legwork. You would have development environments, you would have non-prod environments, you would have test environments, you would have QA environments. This is where you would be testing all this work. This is where the gate 3 comes in. Now that you are going towards gate 3, when you want to pass gate 3, that's where you want to go into gate 4, where you do the design is done, the development work is done in the development labs. Now you want to move into the gate 4 where you want to do the testing and validation. So these are the environments that are closer to production. So they are beyond development environments. So they're more QA non-prod environments. This is where you're testing with the pseudo live environment, which is not production but which is very close to production. So this is where you do all your validation and all that. So, and this gives you a warm and fuzzy that the solution that we have designed together, it's good, it is working as expected, and the chances of it working in production are high. And that's when you go from gate 4 into gate 5, where you say, hey leadership, we are ready to move this into prime time now. This solution is ready to deploy and ready to use. And this is where you go to gate 5. Gate 5 is when you're launching and deploying it. And the key thing about launching and deployment is that you are introducing a new capability into the organization. So the project team knows about it, but the people who will be operating it might not know about it. So this is the time where you want to make sure that the moment you passed gate 5, the moment you deploy, the operations people are totally into the loop of it. They know exactly what to do when certain conditions arise. How do they recover it? How do they maintain it? What about the resiliency? If it's in the same data center, you have in HA environment, one environment fails, the other one takes over. How do you bring the other environment back? If there's a disaster recovery situation, you have a solution sitting in the DR site. How does that come up? What is the RTO and RPO for that? So all that has, hopefully that has been discussed in the design and development thing, and this is what you need to train the operations team for, right? And also the updating of the documents for the disaster recovery and all the other good stuff, right? Like the monitoring and alerting and all that, because you want to have proactive monitoring, alerting and all that for this environment. And once you get the sign off, you pick a date and you launch and you deploy it. And when you launch and deploy, one agreement that the project team needs to have with the operations team is that guys, after the launch, the project team is going to provide support to this environment for X period of time. And this could be weeks, days, or months. And after that, as that period comes to a close, this is where the operations team starts to take more responsibility of operating the environment. And this is key for anything to be successful, any deployment to be successful. The key thing is it is operationalized properly. If it does not get operationalized properly, you will have issues going forward. So make sure it is operationalized properly. Once it has gone live, and I would call the warranty period or the hypercare period, which is the period where the project team is supporting the solution, is coming to an end, and the operations team is taking the solution over. This is where is a key time to make sure everything is good, and operations team takes over and everything is good. And once all said and done and everything is running smoothly, that's when the team again gets together with the operations team, the project team, like the whole solution delivery team, to sit down and talk about the lessons learned. What did we learn from this deployment? How can we make the next deployments better? What process do we need to introduce? What templates do we need to introduce? Because in delivering all this, it is key that everybody who's involved in delivering the solution understands their deliverables. The organization has stipulated templates for everything. Let's say for the solution design, there's a template for that. In the solution design, there's going to be different sections for different people. The security team is going to have their section where they're going to look at the overall solution from security perspective, what security controls they want to put in place. The operations team needs to have their controls in place from monitoring perspective and how do they operate it. The network team is going to have their network, like the infrastructure team, which would be the network, server, database. All these guys will need to have their own section in this design document where they would put in their bit how they're putting their solutions in place and how does that get done. So the absence of a design, the absence of a solution architect in all of this work is a big issue at a lot of organizations. I have not seen an organization to date where this is not an ongoing issue. It is an ongoing issue. It is a big issue, which is going by the wayside across the board, and it comes to bite the organization when the audits happen, when things fail, things don't work. It becomes a bigger issue. So guys, just wanted to share my thoughts about all this, what the solution delivery means, because the last podcast I did was about the importance of project management, what the project management plays, what role they play in this whole thing. They are the people who are keeping the scope, the scope that that you have put together, the timelines that you put together, the money that you have assigned, allocated. Project managers trying to make sure that everything is operating within those parameters, and anything goes beyond that, they have to make sure that the right things happen. So guys, in essence, these gates act as checkpoints, ensuring that projects remain on track, are viable, and deliver the expected outcomes. They're not merely status reports, but critical decision-making points that can prevent costly errors and ensure that the right projects are pursued and completed successfully. Thank you for your time, people. This podcast is produced by me, Shahid Sharif. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.